And we've been joined by Rutgers coach Kyle Flood. The Scarlet Knights are 4-2 overall, 1-1 in the American Athletic Conference. Rutgers last played this past Thursday at Louisville. Louisville won the game 24-10. Rutgers has an open date this week. Their next game will be October 26th against Houston. Coach, thank you for joining us on the call. If you could take a minute to tie up the game at Louisville and then tell us how your plans look for the open week.
Well, certainly we're disappointed in our performance against Louisville, and Louisville gets a lot of credit for that. They got an excellent football team. Coach Strong has done a great job there. They've got talented players, and they outplayed us last week and outcoached us. Now we have an opportunity, after playing 2 games on the road in 5 days back-to-back of having a bye week now before we play our next game versus Houston. I know Houston has a game this week. And that'll be a tremendous challenge for us. They're very well coached. I think Coach Levine has done an excellent job in taking over that program. They're as good as anybody in the country on special teams. They run the ball very, very well and for excellent yardage in every game. So that's going to be a great challenge for our defense for sure. And offensively, we got to try to get back on track. We were a little disjointed in that last game, and certainly the Louisville defense had a lot to do with that, but there are a lot of things we feel we can do better as well. Questions?
Questions for Coach Kyle Flood, please hit *1 on your telephone to join the queue, and then the operator will introduce you.
And our first question comes from Tyler Bartow with the Trentonian.
Good morning, Kyle.
Good morning.
Tyler Croft is up to second on the team in receptions, and his 3 touchdowns, I'm pretty sure, tied for the most by tight end in recent history with the program. I'm just wondering what's been the difference this season in getting production at that position.
I think the most important thing with any tight end is becoming an effective blocker. I think once they become an effective blocker, then you really have an opportunity to utilize those guys in the passing game. And to Tyler's credit, he is a much improved blocker and somebody that I think has got an opportunity to have a really nice career.
Kyle, you've referenced that a lot with being a good blocker, but it makes you wonder why recruit a guy like Tyler who was relatively thin coming out of high school and with certain circumstances had to play a lot of receiver.
He actually played all receiver. Well, he played detached all the time in high school.
Right.
He was not a guy who lined up on the line of scrimmage. I think it's really just in the recruiting process. If you didn't want a guy like Tyler, then you might as well just recruit another offensive lineman. You have to decide what it is in recruiting that you're looking for. And for us, Tyler was a guy that we thought with size and strength and training could become an effective blocker. And we knew it wasn't going to be overnight, but he's done an excellent job of improving that in that role, much in the same way a guy like Clark Harris did here years ago and a guy like Kevin Brock in between the two of them. So it's not the first time we've done it. Clark Harris and Kevin Brock are both in the NFL, but it is something in recruiting you got to make decisions based on ultimately what you're looking for. And when you're talking about offensive personnel, at the end of the day, we need to put guys on the field you think can help you score points.
And our next question comes from Sam Hellman with Scout.com.
Morning, Kyle.
Good morning.
Kyle, going into this bye week, have you guys had the opportunity to reevaluate Paul James and just what's your general take on the running game right now?
He'll be reevaluated at the end of the bye week. So we'll have a little bit of an update in terms of time frame. He will not practice this week. He's not at that point yet where he's ready to do that. And in the run game, we need to execute better. In a lot of ways. Up until this point, we did that, and then against Louisville, we didn't. And some of that was Louisville's defense, and some of that was us not executing the way I think we're capable of. We won't play Louisville's defense again. So this week, the only thing we can focus on is us.
Thank you.
And we'll go next to Ryan Dunleavy with Gannett Newspaper.
Hey, Kyle.
Good morning.
Kyle, could you just talk? I think you went to both Andre and Antoine at some point during the game off the bench. Will those two guys, those two veterans, now that obviously offensive line struggled, will those guys get a look this week in practice as potential starters, or are you comfortable sticking with your same 5 on the O-line right now?
Oh, I think to say before a bye week that you had 5 guys that you knew were going to start the game after the performance we just had, I think would not be really in our best interest. I think we've got a bye week to figure out who those best 5 will be, along with the running back position, and really every position on the team. But we didn't do a good enough job up front in that Louisville game, and when you don't do a good enough job, then you have to see if there's other people on the team who can make you better and do a better job. And we've got a couple practices this week to see if that's the case.
And Kyle, does this feel any different than a regular bye week because you're coming off a Thursday game? I don't know how much it matters, but, you know, instead of having the normal, I guess it's 13 days between games, you have 16 days between games. Does that matter? Those extra days matter at all in terms of, I don't know, what you guys do, how you handle the time off, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, hopefully what it did was it allowed us to get a little bit healthier and get ready for the bye week. And, we'll know more about that tomorrow when we go out there and practice. But it is a unique schedule. To have a bye week and then play 2 road games in 5 days is very unusual. Then to have a bye week after it and then play 2 more home games and then have another bye week, it's an unusual schedule for sure. But as I've said in the past, we don't control the schedule, the league does, and it's our job to make sure that we maximize it and use it to the best of our ability as a program. And for us, we've played half our season. We've got a tremendous challenge coming in here in 2 weeks in the University of Houston. They've got an undefeated football team. And up until this point, our focus has been on becoming a healthier team, and now for the rest of the week, we'll focus on becoming a better football team.
Thanks, Kyle.
We'll go next to Brad Darahila with the Daily Targum.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
How important is this bye week in terms of getting Garif acclimated back into more of a role in the secondary?
I think that this bye week and every day in it is critical to every player in our program. And Garif has not played in a couple games. So to get him back will give us some more experience in the secondary. But in a sport where you only play 12 games a year, you have to take advantage of every day that allows you to prepare for those 12 days that ultimately you're going to be evaluated on. So certainly that is the case with Garif, but I think it's the case with every player in our program.
Right, and how important is it to have Garif back, especially with the inexperience at corner and the loss of Lou Toller?
I think the more players and the more options you have at a position, the stronger your football team is.
Thanks, Coach.
And we'll go next to Jody Demling with CardinalAuthority.com.
Hey, Kyle, how are you this morning?
Good morning.
Hey, could you just talk, Louisville's offense obviously gets a lot of the accolades, but defensively the other night, could you talk about what they did up front and those different guys and how they rotate kind of guys in and what challenges that brings to teams?
They're very talented up front on defense. And when you have really good defensive linemen, you have a chance to be really good on defense. And I think Coach Strong does a great job of recruiting those guys and developing them after he gets them in their program. And that's where it all starts. For us, our struggles Thursday on offense are directly related to that Louisville defensive line. I thought those kids did a good job.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it.
And we have no more questions in queue for Coach Flood.
Thank you.
Thanks for the time this week. Look forward to talking to you again next Monday.
Sounds good.
All right. And that is Louisville with an open date this week. Their next game, October 26th against Houston in Piscataway.